Hey guys, it's Brian from Phone Arena here, and today we're taking a look at the Huawei Mercury Ice. The Mercury Ice is the ice version of the regular Mercury offered by Cricket, and the only difference in the two phones is the paint job. This one is white, whereas the regular Mercury is black. The Mercury Ice is the first phone that's going to be launched with Radio Shack's new prepaid lineup, which is over Cricket and actually mirrors Cricket exactly. It's basically, as far as we can tell, just a rebrand. So, different boxes, different color phone, but overall the same plans and the same pricing that Cricket already offers, along with the same network. It is using all plastic materials. It feels a little bit cheap, to be honest. It's not the greatest constructed device. There's some gaps in the plastic here. There's a little bit of creak when you squeak on it a bit. The plastic, it's just kind of hard. It doesn't feel all that fantastic in your hand, so not the greatest design in the world. The screen is actually pretty good. It's a 4-inch display. It's got about a 245 pixels per inch resolution, so that's not too bad considering that this is a low to mid-range phone. On contract, or excuse us, at no contract pricing, which Radio Shack plans are going to offer, this is only $150, so not too bad. The display, like we said, it's pretty good. It's pretty crisp. Overall, it's fairly responsive, but there are definitely times when we do things and it just doesn't respond. So we could ask for a little bit more responsiveness, and unfortunately that's the same thing we found when we reviewed the Mercury Honor back in March, which is the GSM version of this phone. This is Android. It's running 2.3, 2.3.6 to be exact, so it's a pretty old version. It's Gingerbread. But as you can see, it is pretty customized. All the apps have this nice little background to make it look more iPhone-esque. And in fact, we're going to even hit this little button here, and you can see all the icons are just wiggling just a little bit exactly like they do on the iPhone. So Huawei has done a terrific job of copying that, and Samsung should really talk to them to see what they're doing right, that they are not getting sued. Now, one thing we have to note is that within the home screen, you can change things. This is actually a themed home screen. It uses the A-Home theme, so you can download more. And we do have an Android standard option, which is going to make this look a lot more like your regular Gingerbread that you're used to. However, in the app drawer, you still have the icons with the squared off backgrounds. Even something like navigation, which normally is just the blue triangle, has that squared off background to make it more look like iOS. So, not really a fan of that. Android's very strong. It can stand on its own, doesn't need more iPhone clones. Huawei has also modded the notification bar with these toggle widgets. These are pretty much exactly what Samsung originally did on the Galaxy S2 and has done since then. Actually, that's something that came from CyanogenMod and the custom ROM development, so it's nice to see that making its way into the consumer realm, but at the same time, at least make them look a little bit different than what we're used to with Samsung. So, overall, like we said, the phone's decidedly mid-range. Build quality isn't all that great. The display looks good, but the responsiveness isn't there. One of the strong points is the camera. It's got an 8-megapixel camera with an LED flash. Under the right circumstances, it actually can take pretty good pictures. Some of our macros turned out exceptionally well. Unfortunately, it does not have the greatest camera interface. We'll show you the lock screen here, too. You kind of have the ice cream sandwich style there, but that's a customized lock screen. But the camera interface is just the standard Gingerbread Android interface, which was pretty ugly, fairly light on features, doesn't have all the new stuff that we found in Ice Cream Sandwich. So, the phone definitely needs a software upgrade. We will say that the international versions, the one that had GSM, they actually got an Ice Cream Sandwich upgrade back in March, or maybe even earlier than that. So we don't really hold out too much hope that this phone is going to get an upgrade since it just launched and it's still rocking Android 2.3. I think that Radio Shack is probably going to tout the value of this at only $100. It's even $50 cheaper than Cricket's device. And one of the features that it does have is the Move Music. This is Cricket, now Radio Shack's music program, so users, as part of their package, can download an unlimited amount of songs. They can download ringback tones. They can download ringtones. And that's all included in the $50 and $60 plans offered. So that's a pretty cool feature. The memory card that comes with it is a 4 gig card, but it's partitioned into 3 gigs for Move Music and 1 gig of your own space. So 3 gigs really isn't too much. We've noticed there's some type of encryption because songs we've downloaded here are not showing on the regular music player. So there is something where you actually have to use the Move music player. And as you can see, there's nothing on here, whereas there is stuff on our other stuff. So haven't really played with the encryption all that much to find out if you can use bigger memory cards and still download Move Music or how exactly that works. But it does support cards up to 32 gigs. Huawei has just stuck with the stock browser for the Mercury Ice, and as you can see, it loaded our page just fine. But as we're moving, especially with the ads on the side, things like that, where Flash Player is enabled, it's just not the smoothest thing in the world. You can double tap. There's some of that responsiveness we're talking about. But the whole page kind of formats strange. You can also use the pinch to zoom in and out, but again, it reformats. So not the greatest browsing experience in the world. It can pretty much handle whatever you throw at it. It's just not the smoothest. So definitely recommend some of the options out there in the Android Play Store. However, keep in mind that because this is a gingerbread device, you're not going to have the most powerful browsers out there or things like Google Chrome. Callers were very unimpressed with the call quality for the Huawei Mercury Ice. They actually said it was one of the poorest phones we've ever tested. On our end, it wasn't nearly as bad as they said it was. We could hear them pretty easily. Good voice reproduction, good volume. But they said that we were really hollowy, very echoey, and they really just had to concentrate to hear us, even though both of us were in a quiet room when we were doing our test calls. So not the biggest endorsement there. The Ice has a 1900 milliamp battery, which is rated for 6.5 hours of talk time. We found that the battery drains pretty quickly in our usage, so users are probably definitely going to want to have another battery on hand if you are a heavy user, if you're taking advantage of that unlimited plan. All in all, we're not too thrilled with the Huawei Mercury Ice. It's an older phone. We reviewed the Honor back in March, like we said, and this is really the same phone without ice cream sandwich and a CDMA radio. It borrows very heavily from other design influences here. You can even see this little weather widget, which is similar to what Samsung offers on their phones right now. So at $150, the price is definitely right, but you have to kind of take into account what you're getting with that. The Radio Shack and Cricket plans are good plans. You got a $50 plan for 1.5 gigs of unthrottled data and a $60 plan for 2.5 gigs. Excuse us, a $50 plan includes 1 gigs and the $60 plan includes 2.5 gigs. Data is unlimited, but after those things, they will throttle you. The $60 plan also does include some tethering, so that's nice. But plans from Virgin, plans from Boost, a lot of the other prepaid offerings out there, they're very similar, if not better, and they definitely offer better devices than this phone here. Even Cricket, which offers the same exact plans, does offer the iPhone. They're offering the new iPhone 5. They have the HTC One V at pretty much, it's $50 more than this, but a way better phone in our opinion. So if you really need the price, if you want the Mercury, then the Huawei Ice is the better way to go over the regular Huawei Mercury because it's $50 cheaper. But other than that, there are probably better options for you otherwise.